When you get up this morning and got dressed, and here I'm assuming that you wear clothes most days, you probably didn't notice something kind of interesting. These pockets. Your clothes have pockets. Now, it might seem a bit odd to notice this because most of your life you've been wearing clothes, I presume, and those clothes have had pockets. Unless, of course, you're of the female persuasion, in which case you found that, yes, they do have things that look like pockets, but very often, annoyingly, you can't use them. But since pockets are so common and they're on pretty much everything, it's logical to presume that they've always existed. See, for most of human existence, and by humans I mean people that don't have hair, though there are some pretty hairy dudes out there, we've been wearing clothes. And almost all that time, we have not had pockets, or those clothes have not had pockets. Not only that, but if you look at traditional attire around the world, you'll find that pretty much all of them don't have pockets. And those that do, those pockets have been added anachronistically because pockets are just so convenient. Now, of course, they had other ways of secreting valuables and other items around the person, because you do have to carry valuables generally. For example, in Japan and China, they had these really billowy sleeves, and you'd put a purse up in the sleeve, or potentially a dog. And yes, I do mean a dog. The Pekingese dogs were specifically bred to be kept up the sleeves as kind of a fashion statement. They were all the rage in the imperial court of China. But back to pockets. The English term comes from the Norman poke, or poke, something like that. I'm probably not pronouncing it properly. From that word branched out into both pocket and purse. And poke originally somehow traces back to the Latin bursa. And bursae were cloth or leather satchels that were tied at the top with a bit of string, and that would hang from your waist or were tied around the body. Pockets sort of evolved. First it was that bag hanging from your waist, but that was very vulnerable to being robbed, especially by people who would come up and just cut the string that attached it to you and then run off. This was called cut pursing very creatively. So what people would do is they put their purse under their clothes, whether that be in their trousers or under a jacket or jerkin, and then they would have a slit in it that would allow them to stick their hand in it and then access their purse, which made it harder to steal. However, this didn't really catch on as a fashion because even though it was really practical, this was a time of very flamboyant dressing with the hair done up in fantastic wigs and wearing hose and trousers. And the purse was sort of seen something as a status symbol. People would wear really embroidered purses hanging from their belts, sort of to show off how wealthy they are. Presumably, the bigger the purse, the more money you had, because, well, if you're going to carry around a lot of money, you needed a bigger purse to fit it all in. And this, incidentally, is where that big bag that you have in front of kilts comes from. It's called the sporran, and that somehow evolved from the Latin word bursa. So bursa's been pretty busy. So pockets didn't really become a thing until the Industrial Revolution because of several cultural changes. Among them was the change in fashion, which saw men no longer wearing leggings and hose. Pockets, however, continued to elude the ladies, and I do mean ladies, because women had pockets in their skirts, because pockets are a good idea. The thing is, those pockets were necessary for women who are doing, say, who were maids or worked as farmhands, and upper class rich ladies wanted to distance themselves from showing that they had to do manual labor. And so that's why they preferred to use purses and would buy skirts that did not have pockets on them. And this is why it's so hard for women to find pockets on their clothes these days, because it just sort of carried on that mentality in the fashion industry. But pockets are not just a fashion statement, and not just because they are pretty useful, but also they can have an impact on culture, especially if you consider dress and what you wear as a form of expression. Consider, for example, debt or credit cards. They are becoming increasingly popular around the world in replacing cash. But they were originally designed to fit in a wallet, which fits into a pocket. And they are, and this is not an actual credit card, but it's the same thing as a credit card. They're pretty fragile. So unless they're in a wallet and they they could break. Or cell phones, they can be pretty heavy and quite big, and well, they're kind of inconvenient to carry around unless you have a pocket to put them in, or a purse to put them in. But if you consider many forms of traditional dress, like let's take the kimono for example, which has places to store stuff up the sleeves. Now, accessing things that are up the sleeves is actually a little more convenient than reaching into a pocket. But if you have like a wallet with a bunch of coins in it and a cell phone there hanging from your forearms, it can be a little awkward to move around and do stuff. It'd be much more preferable to put those in pockets, say in your pants or in your jacket. So there might not be any studies in this, but I would argue that the convenience of pockets in Western attire has led to Western clothes being a lot more adopted around the world, and sort of pushing traditional cultural dresses sort of out of the way. And while we're on the subject of pockets, most jeans have this pocket on it. You probably noticed it. Well, what's that for? Well, it depends on who you ask, but there's two theories about that. One is that it's a pocket for your watch. Your pocket watch would go in there, or that it's a coin pocket. Now, I'm going to say that it's actually a coin pocket for a couple reasons. Number one is that pocket watches were relatively expensive, so only the moderately to wealthy could really afford them, and they wouldn't be doing manual labor. And jeans were the preferred attire for manual laborers, people who are out working, carrying heavy stuff. And if you think about it, if you're carrying around, say, a load of bricks in front of you, and you have your pocket watch here right in that front where the heavy load of bricks is, that pocket watch could end up getting scratched or banged and otherwise broken. And for something that's quite expensive, you probably don't want that. But if you consider the pocket itself, it's really convenient size to put a couple tokens in there. Say, for example, tokens for a tram or for a bus, or coins to use at the company store. And that would be something that people who wear jeans regularly would actually need. So I think that the notion that this is a pocket for your pocket watch was sort of is a myth that was created by advertisers as jeans were becoming more acceptable to the mainstream, or as a way of promoting jeans for everyone. So now you know why your clothes have pockets and where they come from. Don't forget to click here somewhere, like there's a roundy thingy here you should click if you're awesome, and I'll see you next time.